This is a real and raw Star Wars Outlaws review. Only honest feedback here, nothing sugar-coated. Quick disclaimer, I am not paid to do this by anyone, any corporate entity. No one is giving me money for this review other than the ad revenue the video may generate, which is usually pennies. So I am usually a brand risk for sponsors. I do not sugarcoat my videos, and I do not use kids' gloves when I handle my feels and my reviews and how I feel about things. I am a non-corporate entity. It is just me. I am a solo YouTuber. I have no editor. I have no analytics team or anything stupid like that. I'm just a guy that plays video games and decides to record them. I have no connections, no friends, and no family in the video game industry at all. Also, I filmed this on the PC version, unlike all the other doofuses filming on console for some reason. So how does this game compare to other games? Let's talk about it. So first, let's talk about the mission structuring of the game and the open worldness of the game. It's very similar to Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, and Cyberpunk 2077. So let me go over what that looks like. So first, I'm going to show you the world map here. Well, this is the town map. I am in a town called Microgana. And so here, there are quest givers. There's like little activities, little fun activities to do, side quests, shops, vendors. Different factions, have different quest givers as well, and they have their own shops, little areas you can explore. And this is just one town of many. So I'm going to zoom the map out now. And this is the first planet that you play as Toshara. And this is the open world. There's a whole bunch of different little zones here with a lot of different activities to do and things to discover. And there's a whole nother zone here with, again, faction stuff going on. I'm not going to spoil too much. There are little towns in these areas as well. Like if we go to the grazing fields, there is a town called Jonta's Hope. And inside there are, as you would guess, quest givers, shops, towns, little areas to hang out, things to upgrade your stuff with. And not only that, but there's so many little secret areas hidden around these things. There's other little areas too that we can go to. We can fast travel around. Lots of quests to do, lots of things to do, but it gets even crazier than that because we're going to zoom out from here. This is not the whole game. Oh, and let me talk about this little empty area real quick. Later on this year, I believe there is another little, paid DLC drop. I don't know if it's paid or not. Don't quote me on that. And next year, 2025, in spring, there is another content drop, so these will eventually be filled in. Now, this is just one planet of many, so let me show you outer space. So we're on the Toshara planet, and if we zoom out more, hey, we have another area to explore. We have cluster wrecks in space. We have a whole galactic space station here. This is like an area you go to later. I don't know if I can just go in here and explore around. I haven't tried yet. I know you're forced to go here at some point during the story, though. We have a Renpali station. This is a whole little town in space with quest givers, points of interest, stuff like that. Also a fast travel, which I guess I haven't unlocked, even though I guess this save file, I haven't been there yet. And there's 4 other zones just like this. And I don't mean 4 other space zones. I mean 4 other planets with its own space zones and its own little areas too. So that's the open world part. Now, when you're inside the towns, you're obviously forced to walk around on foot. You can't drive around, but as soon as you leave town, you can summon a speeder. And where is it at? It should pop up any second now. It's much more smooth and simple than, say, Cyberpunk, where it just materializes out of nowhere. This one got put on a ledge. But you get on your speeder, and now we can explore the open world and, go crazy, go fast, whatever it is. And on this save file, I have not upgraded this thing at all, so it's a little bit slower than it is, but later on in the game, you go really fast in this thing. But you may think, oh, is this an empty-ass open world? Is there nothing to do? No. If I drive in any direction for 8 to 15 seconds, there's always a point of interest. There's always something to do, some kind of loot to be had, some kind of random encounter to be had, something of the sort. There's a whole lot of life just out here in the wilderness. It's not like a dead, boring planet like in Starfield. There's animals walking around, and there's just a whole lot of things to explore, see, do, loot, kill, you name it. And, yeah, there's just, the whole planet is just filled with life, and every planet is different. The starting one here, Toshara, is a windy planet, and, yeah, so there is just a whole lot to do. Now, this save file is very early on, and look, there's, explosions going on. Someone's having a fight out here. These guys are fighting, so I can interrupt this fight, loot what I want, kill them all, and take the loot for myself, or I can leave, or I can hide and sneak around. There's a whole lot of different ways to, like, approach these kinds of situations. And yes, the game does have fast travel, so you don't have to manually drive all over the place, wasting your precious and valuable time. You can just fast travel where you need to go once you have it unlocked, of course. We can even sit down and go into space. And space is quite similar, except now you have 360-degree directions, and I accidentally shot a rocket out. Oops. But yeah, I can land back on the planet, I can turbo boost around, I can, you know, spin and pivot and dodge, and wiggle and explore and get into random fights, go into these random areas, explore them, loot stuff, get into quests, get into trouble. There's a whole lot of things to do, explore, collect, and upgrade in all aspects. Next up is some gameplay. We have similarities to The Last of Us and Metal Gear Solid 2 on extreme difficulty, mainly with the looting and stealth combat mechanics, and as far as Metal Gear Solid 2 goes, you don't get a radar and you don't get to see enemy sight cones. Also, there is some Metroidvania stuff going on where you might need certain upgrades or tools to be able to access certain areas or make certain areas easy, more difficult. I'll show you and explain. So here's an example mission. Right now, the mission is to go to this area, which is an Imperial Galactic Empire kind of little base right here in the corner. And we need to steal a Class 11 power core. We don't know where it's at. We don't know how to find it. We just know it's in this base somewhere, and there's many different ways we can tackle this objective. We could just kind of crash through the front door, killing everybody, you know, guns blazing style, and there's a lot of guards here. We can be tactical, and we can mark all the guards, and yes, I know it's blurry. I just got to focus it up. There we go. We can mark all the guards if we want to, you know, mark all the bad guys, so it makes it easier to kind of keep track of them later and stuff. We could sneak in, we could try to blend in, we could go in through air vents, and yeah, he doesn't seem to care that I'm out here. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm just a gal standing outside, right? I almost said guy. But you know, there's so many different ways to tackle this mission. So we could try going in guns blazing. Not a good idea because, I mean, they severely outnumber and outgear us. I have basic starter gear, I have no supplies, I have just the basic weapon, and this speeder is not upgraded, so it's still kind of slow. It's early on in the game, all right? But yeah, we obviously can't go through that front door. There's a laser barrier there, and yeah, I'm already being shot at, so we can just, you know, start killing, but they're just gonna call reinforcements, and look how fast we get just murdered here. Maybe use the speed. Oh no, I'm dead. The AT-AT just kind of one-shotted us there. So how would one get through this, you know, wired fence? Well, you have a little pet named Nyx that can get under things and sneak around. This little creature here, this little pet. Pretty cool guy, and he can run and open it for us. But again, there's guards literally right here, so... And the laser actually shot on us, dealing damage. Now, at this point, it's still running gun mode. Again, not recommended. We can melee the enemies, but they do fight back, especially if they've already been alerted and they're aware that we're here. Also, when you get wanted status, the whole place will just erupt and everyone will be aggroed. We can try disabling the alarm, but again, being shot at, probably not a good idea. And we can try to fight our way in, but again, you can see it's not very tactically good. It's just not a good idea. But if you are good enough at the game, then you could technically do it. You just shoot and kill every single person. It's just a real pain in the butt. Now, the game also has Uncharted and Tomb Raider style gameplay, though I haven't had any like quick time events that determine if I die or not. It's still a lot of grappling, parkouring, climbing, and exploring, and I didn't mean to release that. But here we're going to use a tree branch in a cave to scale a little bit higher and then see if we can scale into this base. Now, I personally haven't taken this route on this side of the base, but, you know, knowing the game devs, hey, there's a branch I can use, so we're going to go ahead and just grab that branch. There we go, kind of rappel up a bit, and then we can rappel on top of the base wall, but hey, there's a guard right there. So, you know, it's a little risky, but we can kind of swing over this way. Just get a little bit more momentum, and then there we go. So now we're on the walls, and again, I could drop down here. I can scale the walls. I can kind of creep around. This guy is busy, so we can stealth take him out. This is some Metal Gear Solid stuff, you know. And yes, I'm aware that I'm going to talk about this later in the video, that you shouldn't be able to punch a stormtrooper and knock them out, especially as a lightweight female. I get that. I understand. I'm going to address it later in the video, so stay tuned for that. But let's take the route that when I originally played, which I believe I kind of went around a very long way over this way. There are some guards along this wall, but, you know, if I keep a distance, they don't see me. So I believe I went somewhere kind of like this, and I climbed this wall here. And again, there's a whole lot of different ways to tackle these missions. And let me just go ahead and get off the bike here, which I haven't played in a hot minute, so I forget the button. Yikes. Okay, I figured it out. It was the reload button. I don't know why. Guys, very short, you know, memory span here. But I remember going this route where I took the left side of the base, which, you know, goes around these guards here. And then we're going to sneak in. We're going to get back on top of that wall, but we're going to do it from the other side. And I'll show you why. And this isn't a guide video. I'm going to have plenty of those coming out of the most quickest, efficient, easiest ways to go through each and every level of this game, assuming it doesn't die immediately. Now, on this side, there is a droid. Now, I happen to have an upgrade for my blaster. You see how I just switched weapons here? This one deals extra damage to droids. It stuns them, and it eventually kills them. There we go. Alright. Now, one thing I hate is that the cooldown button is the exact same as the fire button, so when you do your cooldown, you still shoot a shot. We got another droid here, so we're just going to stun them, take them out. So having this upgrade makes this encounter really easy, but if I didn't have this upgrade, I would have to shoot them with regular bullets, and that would be a problem. So I do remember that I took this route, so I'm going to go ahead and take this little way over here. It's a little bit more out of the way, but it is a more stealthy approach. Is it quicker than running and gunning, you know, through the front door? Well, it's definitely safer. And no, I think I have to manually jump this one right here. So we're going to do a running jump, and there we go. We grabbed a hold of it. Go ahead and climb up. And unfortunately, I would prefer to have filmed this when it's daytime outside and not dusk. But that's just how it is. There is no, like, fast-forward time button like in Starfield or Skyrim or whatever. So here we are. We're now closer to the wall. We got a nice, convenient tree branch here. Go ahead and swing onto the base. And luckily, that guard over there did not see me. I'm going to use a little aura sensing ability here so we can sense that there is a guard there. There's one over there. I'm going to sick the pet on him. There we go. Pet's on him. This makes it easy to, you know, just kick him in the shin and then throw him on the ground. I know these animations are goofy. You don't have to tell me, okay? Alright, so now we need to get inside. So we're going to go ahead and... Oh, now see that guard is... He saw me, so let's climb back up. Oops, I should have took out all the guards. Now, as long as he doesn't trigger an alarm, we can actually eliminate him, right? So we can just take these guys out. Okay, there's the wanted, so someone triggered the alarm. There we go, got it. And we can turn this alarm off. Yeah, let's go ahead and disable the alarm. There we go. And then we'll sabotage it so they can't... Now, I can chill for a little bit. Abandoning search. There we go. They're still cautious. You see how there's yellow icons on my compass at the top? They're still looking, but they're not, like, in high alert mode. They assumed that the threat was taken care of. Anyway, let's grapple down into the base now. There we go. And these guys... None the wiser. So I'm gonna have the animal jump on one's head. Oh, there was 3 guys in this room. I didn't scout it first. Go ahead and take this one out. There we go. That one's running off to sound the alarm. See the icon? They're sounding the alarm. It's they're gonna get the alarm too. So this puts the whole damn base on alert and aggroes everybody. Also, we stepped in the camera radius there. So again, you can run and gun this if you want. We can do a little smoke distraction there if we want. There's a whole lot of options on how to play. And, you know, I'm a pretty good shot. I've been playing for a little bit. Now, this guy has a shield, but I happen to have the upgrade that takes out the shields, so he's not that big of a deal. There we go. Shield's going to get disabled. Switch guns, or switch firing types. There we go. Okay, shield's back. Again, like, the enemies will get increasingly difficult as you play the game. And because these are Imperials, they're a little better geared. They're a little more coordinated than, like, other outposts. Also, we're getting sniped now by the guys on the rooftop. And I didn't want to be outside. I went the wrong way, I'm going to admit. The thing I needed to yoink was actually in this room. So, we're going to go ahead and have our friend crawl inside and open the door for us. He's going to do that. There we go. Yoink this stuff. And that's all we needed. We can rappel out of the roof and get skedaddle out. And that is mission complete. Super easy peasy, but I accidentally went through the door and, you know, aggroed all the guards. It's totally fine. Now, when I said Metroidvania earlier, I meant it. So here is a little door panel and a latch that I could have got into completely stealthy. No need to do any of the parkour stuff. but I don't have a slicing kit. So in order to get this slicing kit, I would have to do some side quests with a faction that I'm not very friendly with, and once I do their side quest, I would get a mentor, and they would teach me how to use the slicing kit, which would allow me to open this door and access treasures, or take me, you know, closer to the objective. And there's a whole lot of different ways to tackle these missions. Now, not all missions are like this, and not all missions are as open-ended as this either. Some missions are very straightforward, and there's only one way to go through them. The game also features a criminal wanted level, and it's very similar to both Grand Theft Auto and Star Citizen in a sense that you can go to terminals and hack them, or bribe or pay them off. There's a whole lot of different ways to get rid of your wanted level. Because I killed a whole bunch of stormtroopers, I'm going to be basically perma-wanted until I do something about it. So the game is telling me that I can, well, I pickpocketed a key card from this guard, and it wants me to use a terminal inside there to basically hack and wipe out my wanted level. So that's just one of many solutions. Also, this game is kind of similar to Wild Arms, a really old JRPG, because you have a pet that helps you solve puzzles and steals, and his name is Nyx, and he is this little guy right here. And this character makes the game. This is the best character ever, and as long as you're not like an animal hater or an anti-pet person, like this is a whole different, like, interesting little mechanic here. And normally when you point your pistol at him, he'll look at it, he'll stand up, he'll say pew pew, and he'll play dead. It's kind of funny, but he's not doing it right now, so I don't know what's going on. But you can use them to, like, steal stuff from stormtroopers. You can use them to distract, attack enemies. He opens doors for you, crawls in spaces. He can grab loot from far away. This creature also later, you can buff him with different foods, and he can kick away grenades. He can do all sorts of really fun, interesting kind of different interactions with the enemies. So, like, right now I could tell him to attack the guard, or I can tell him to steal. So he's going to run up and yoink a grenade from the guard's belt. There we go. He's yoinked the grenade, most likely a grenade. And yeah, so there you go. I already have full grenades, so I don't really need them. But we could just throw a grenade. And these guys are getting suspicious now because they see me over here crouching. So let's just chunk a grenade. There we go. See you later, stormtroopers. Alright. So, yeah. There we go. We're a criminal again. Yay! So, the space combat, it's better than Starfield by a huge margin, but it's worse than Star Citizen. Star Citizen is pretty much the king of space combat, from what I've played at least. It's more arcadey, and I just bumped into him. Okay, cool. But yeah, so here's the combat. It's very arcadey. And we can go ahead and lock in. And these are like enemies you're not supposed to mess with. So they should be way tougher. Yeah, they're already drained my shields. You're not really supposed to fight these guys, especially this early on in the game. Like, you're meant to be punished for, like, messing with these dudes. But for the regular story fights and the regular bad encounters you get when you're not playing the bully or the bad guy, they're way easier than this. Trust me. Like, this is a fight you're supposed to literally be punished for doing. So, I didn't mean to bump into him, but it's whatever. But yeah, it's very easy to do. It's very arcadey. It's very simplistic. Not a whole lot of complexities here. You don't have to manage, you know, diverting power from your shields to your thrusters or anything like in Star Citizen. You can just simply, you know, focus on combat and aiming. You can even have, like, a little autopilot, which right now, I'm not even, like, moving up and down. I have an auto lock-on thing that is adjusting my thrusters as needed to stay on this guy's tail. Which I'm not doing any evasive stuff, really. There we go. Now, I can, you know, do manual controls here if I want. Let's go ahead and find this last guy. Oh, there he is. All right. And a lot of turning. It's a big turn fight. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, very arcadey, very simplistic combat. I don't even have all the unlocks. I have just the basic stuff. We can get some loot. When you kill the bad guys. You can also farm, like, junkyards, you know, use tractor beams to get some supplies. There's a whole lot you can do in space. So this game's story takes place in possibly what I would say is the golden era of Star Wars. Now, I'm not exactly a Star Wars fanatic or a big fan or a big knowledge haver of the lore, but essentially everyone mostly agrees that, you know, the older Star Wars movies are the best ones. So this game actually takes place after The Empire Strikes Back and before The Return of the Jedi. So just as a refresher, and this is movie spoilers, by the way, in Empire Strikes Back, Luke loses his hand in a fight with Darth Vader, Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite and delivered to Jabba the Hutt. That's how that movie ends. It essentially ends with the Empire currently winning. Like, it's the rebels are kind of on a losing streak, you know, but there's still hope, right? And 1 year later is when Return of the Jedi happens, and that movie starts with Luke delivering C-3PO and R2-D2, the little droids. They're being given to Jabba the Hutt as a gift to negotiate for Han's release. Now, this game takes place in between the two movies, so there is a whole year, before Return of the Jedi happens after Empire Strikes Back, and this is when the game is essentially happening. Now, Star Wars Outlaws is a single-player open-world action-adventure game, alright? So there's no connecting to the internet other than for a, I guess, cash shop or the anti-piracy stuff that's going on with that. But essentially, there is no online PvP, there's no online leaderboards to my knowledge. I would hope they would add it for the little arcade mini games you can play to see who's going to cheat and get like the highest score. But yeah, it's an action-adventure game, which means you don't level up, you don't grind mobs, and, oh, I'm level 60, let me unlock my super blaster. There is still gear and gear upgrades and, progressive unlocks as you do the story and side missions, but there is not really any RPG leveling mechanics. So this game is not an Unreal Engine game, thank God, man, because I am so sick of Unreal sloppa. Every game feels so samey that runs on the Unreal Engine. Yeah, it's pretty, but it feels so samey. This game runs on the Snowdrop game engine. Other games that use this engine are X-Defiant, that free-to-play Call of Duty competitor, and the Mario and Rabbids games, if you've heard of those. The Division 1 and 2, I've never played those. I don't know if they're any good. And the South Park Fractured Butthole game, which, yeah, a totally different type of genre, but it still runs on the same engine, believe it or not. Now, the game is rated T for teen, which means no curse words, no booba, no, gore and violence. Now, Massive Entertainment made this game, which is a Swedish company, and it's also worked with Lucasfilm Games, which is a United States game based in California. So it is a mostly Western game, I would say. Now, it's important I say this, especially for my channel viewers and people that watch me on the regular. This game has no wokeness in it at all. I don't know who's trying to push this narrative, but this game, there is zero wokeness 30 hours in. There's no gay or trans or lesbian characters. There's no agendas, no weirdness on the side, no characters, randomly mentioning odd stuff, nothing in the missions to, push a propaganda or a political agenda whatsoever. This game is absolutely devoid of all of that. Now, I get it. We're playing a possibly black female, not attractive character, and that you may not like the game because of that, but let me try to help you out with that. So here's some similar characters from not-so-similar games. We have Clementine from The Walking Dead, Fortune from Metal Gear Solid 2, Catalina from Grand Theft Auto 3, remember she was the bad guy, Alex Vance from Half-Life 2, most people liked her, I guess, Sheva from Resident Evil 5, she's pretty cool, right? Storm, everyone loves Storm from X-Men, like all the X-Men games and shows and movies. And then, okay, this is a tough one, but Frey from Forspoken. Now, we all know Forspoken was a garbage game. However, I just really like isekai stories. I don't know, I'm an anime dork, so no matter how cringy they are, there you go. And don't give me the race stuff. I'm just going to tell you right now that the real segregation is rich versus poor. Any kind of beef against, people of whatever is just a symptom of wealth inequality, okay? And if you want to skip this game because you can't play a white male that's a hard case, well, then it's really your loss. Now, I get it, you don't want to support a Sweet Baby Incorporated agenda-pushing game, but this Star Wars Outlaws game is not one of them. Trust me on this, it is not one of them. If it was, I wouldn't be making this video, or I would be making a video where it says, "Do not buy" in the title, and I would be having a whole different tone with you at the moment, okay? I'd have told you the truth. You can trust me on this one. This is not an agenda-pushing game whatsoever. And like I said earlier, the game isn't even really about the main character. I guess it is. It's about the little pet Nix. Where's he at? There he is. Yeah, this little guy right here. He's the whole thing that makes the game. Do it for him, okay? Alright, let's talk about the gameplay loop now that we got that stuff out of the way. So you do main story missions to progress the story, duh, and you unlock more areas to play around in. It's really simple. You also get gear and loot and currency and unlocks for the main story. But you also, when you do side missions or optional content, you also get gear upgrades, abilities, currency, and reputation. You'll just get reputation with the main story. You can upgrade your armor, your weapons, your abilities, your speeder, which is your open world vehicle, which I showed earlier, and your spaceship. You can just beeline the main story if you want, but it's going to be more and more difficult as you progress, even borderline tedious and frustrating if you skip the side missions, especially a few of the more core ones. So most missions you can simply brute force, you can just go in guns blazing. Some missions do restrict you. So wall of text here, here's all the different types of missions. You have full stealth mode. If you get spotted, you restart from the checkpoint. These suck. I hate these, and this is the least favorite thing about this game, is the full stealth missions. Then you have the mid-stealth missions. If you get spotted, which I showed earlier, you fight your way out, and if the alarm is triggered... Well, I didn't actually show that one, no. Like, if you're on a space station and the alarm is triggered, it's lockdown mode, game over. Well, not really, you just restart from checkpoint, right? Then you have optional stealth, which is what I showed earlier. You do an objective, stealthy or loud, it doesn't matter. Forced combat is when you're doing, usually, the main story, and there's a cutscene that happens, and it forces you into combat. There is no stealth. You have to shoot your way out before the game will let you progress. You can't run away, you can't talk your way out, none of that stuff. Then you have missions that there is no combat or stealth. It's just a platforming puzzle, kind of exploring, avoid the traps kind of game mode. And then later there's even more hazards and traps that will kill you outright. And I assume that even later in the game, which I just assume here, that it's going to combine all of this. So you're going to be in combat, you're going to have to avoid traps and pitfalls and level hazards while also climbing while being shot at. I just assume, I don't know for sure. Now, most missions are on rails, okay? They only have one way through them. Some will let you choose how you want to tackle them. You like air ducts, scale the walls, blast through the front door. I showed you that earlier, okay? It's not an RPG. You can't win a speech check or roll a 20 and talk your way out of a fight. All right, now side missions have very basic stuff from like just pickpocket a guy or beat up a dude to completing things like you have to find a guy by eavesdropping on him in the middle of a market square who's making phone calls to his boss. Then you got to steal his phone, track the phone call to a distant planet, fly there, fight your way through guards, or convince the guards on the planet that you're just a maintenance person. Then you gotta sneak into their bedroom apartment and then hold them up and hold them hostage and then take them prisoner, that kind of stuff. So very complex side missions to very simple ones. Whatever you want to do, it's optional, right? You'll also have random open world events, which are maybe, possibly not exactly random, and other things that spontaneously happen, like the Imperials are attacking a pirate cave thing, and you can either kill everyone and loot everything, or sneak in during the fight, loot the stuff, and leave quietly. There's really different ways to tackle things. So you also have factions in this game. There are initially 3, and then there's a 4th faction a little bit later, not too far later. And it's pretty basic stuff. You grind repeatable missions with them, you gain rep to unlock rewards, and you lose rep with other factions. Now, due to how the main story works, because it does tie in these factions, it forces you down a specific kind of optimal metagame path if you want to collect all the gear in a timely manner. I feel like this mechanic is kind of tacked on, because once you grind out the rewards for a faction, you can just make them the dump stat faction while you grind up the next one. There's really no incentive to hold on to a good rating with a faction. Well, for me, at least 30 hours in, I haven't found a reason to keep a faction liking you other than less combat encounters in the open world and in space. So if we just kind of like open the faction menu here, and spoiler alert, you're gonna see a faction that you don't initially see. So spoilers, skip ahead if you want. Here we go. All right, so we have like the Pike Syndicate, the Crimson Dawn, which these guys hate me right now. The Hutt Cartel, we all know who the Hutts are. We've seen the movies. And the Ashiga clan, right? So, you can see here that I have excellent rating with the Pike Syndicate, and the Crimson Dawn hate my guts. The reason why I did this is partially because the story pushes you a certain way. You can kind of have a choice on it, but not really. And, like, you're forced to do some Crimson Dawn missions no matter what, though at the end of the mission you can betray them, which you clearly see I've done. But I really like the Pike Syndicate's loot rewards, because these factions have loot rewards, like upgrades and different gear, which you can see that my character is currently wearing. And I, being a min-max gamer, chose the Pike Syndicate because I figured the gear would help me the most in the missions to come. So now I'm maxing out the Ashiga clan, and then I'm going to max out the Hutts. And then finally, I'll get around to the Crimson Dawn, and once I have all the gear, then I can just combine them and make a super build, I guess. But the game is... the gear isn't strong enough to carry you. You can't just solo an entire Imperial outpost. I guess you could with enough reloads, but initially it's not really meant to be played that way, I guess. So there's lots of little mini games that you can do in this game, and the few that I've found so far Well, I mean, more than a few, but essentially, like, the interesting ones are, there's a Sabacc card game, which you can see here, we're in, like, a shady little, like, kind of bar area, very dark and spooky, filled with the grimiest-looking underworld dudes ever, and they're playing a little card game, and you can sit down with them, you can play with them, you can gamble, and, you know, it's pretty neat at first, right? It's a pretty cool little aesthetic, and it's not quite as complex as, say, Texas Hold'em or poker, but, you know, as an actual real-life gambler and min-maxer of video games, the math on this becomes very simple, and it's just a matter of following basic odds to win. So, while this card game at first may seem quite complex and very sophisticated, it's a real basic math. I'm not going to really go too much into it because it's a review video. I will be putting out guide videos and gameplay videos on this channel. I'm aiming for 40 videos by the 30th of August, and so if you're interested in Sabacc, I guess I can teach you how to play it on my channel here. So that's the call to action to subscribe, by the way, and click the like button. Did the like button glow rainbow for you guys? I'm really curious if I'm a big enough channel to make that happen. Anyway, so the rewards for playing this card game are pretty minimal. Like, the money isn't that great, even on the high roller spooky secret tables. And the only real rewards you get are these little cards that just help you win harder, basically. You don't even really need them. There's also animal race betting, and you can find little notes scattered around towns that will kind of help you win those better. They'll be like, oh, on the next race, the odds, you know, the race is rigged, and bet on this horse. Or, it's not a horse, it's like whatever animal that Star Wars characters ride on. I don't know the names. I'm not a Star Wars geek, I'm sorry. And I'm not going to Google it because there's too many animals to Google for this game. But essentially, you find that note, you get a free horse race betting win. That's what it is. You're racing on, like, animals that race around a track, okay? But because this game has a save and load system, and it's not perpetually online or anything, you can just save scum it. And even that Sabacc table, when you sit down and bet on it, you can literally just save your game before putting money down. If you lose, you load game. It's not a big deal, right? Also, these activities are purely just little side fun hustles to eat up your time. They're not really important to the main story, because the main story gives you plenty of money anyway, so, and there's really not too much to honestly buy with your money. Now, there's also a lot of side content. Oh, he was just, like, interacting with this guy over here. I never seen that. That's neat. But there's a whole lot of side content that you can do and collect. Like this little creature, this Nyx. I don't know what type of animal he is, but you can get wardrobes and outfits for him. You can give him like a little Hawaiian crown thingy, or like dreads and stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff you can give him to like kit him out and make him look cool or whatever it is you want. They don't really affect the gameplay at all. There's so many different collectibles and things. Completionists are going to be busy on this game for a long time. Oh, like stormtroopers. Check this out. Like, you can steal from them. And this is in town. You can go ahead and yoink their grenades. Sadly, they only have grenades. There's, like, thugs around the city you can steal from. They have money. But we're just going to leave that grenade on the ground. I'm sure a little kid will pick it up and go boom. But, or the droid will run over it, accidentally, you know, detonating it. That's not a thing that happens. I'm sorry. That would be a little too gruesome for a teen-rated game. But it's still fun to think about, isn't it? Now, as for the hardcore gamers, the speedrunners, the min-maxers, a lot of the side stuff you're probably not going to touch other than the mandatory, oh, I need the slicing kit to open the super secret door to the super secret weapon upgrade or something, right? But the main story is still, it's a full and complete and a very long game, and it's worth the purchase price, even from someone like me. And you're probably new to my channel due to the you know, the YouTube and whatever, the word was algorithm. The YouTube algorithm probably took you here if you're interested in this Star Wars stuff. And I'm just going to tell you right now, like, me personally, I don't enjoy single-player games, almost never. And I'm not even a big fan of Star Wars. I'm like a mild fan. I can name like some of the main characters in the old movies. I don't really like read the books. I don't watch the TV shows. I don't really play much of the games. But if someone like me can enjoy this game, then imagine how much more a single-player enjoyer or a big Star Wars fan would like this game. It's worth it, dude. Now, this game is quite immersive. It is not an Unreal Engine game, so it does not feel like all those samey 99% of other games running the stupid damn engine that came out in the past like 5 years. The environments are, you can see here, they're crammed full of NPCs, way more than Starfield, way more than Cyberpunk. All right, look, they're doing, look, hey, look, this guy's waving me in to play. Let's freaking play, let's go, right? Look at that, that's immersion. Sorry, lad, I'm filming a review video. I'll come back later, bro. But no, like, see, it's just like the small little touches. There's so many little immersive touches in this game. I can't show them all off. That would be an editing nightmare. There's so many wild animals out in the open world running around. It makes the game feel very, very alive. I haven't seen any goofy, stupid NPC moments like in Cyberpunk where, like, the weird jank where there's, like, a guy in a wheelchair and you punch him and then he gets up, stands up and runs away. Like, bro, what? You know, or, like, NPCs walking through walls or T-posing or standing on top of chairs. Like, you don't have NPCs just standing on top of stupid crap. They all look and feel and are acting like a normal person, human would. They're just chilling. And yeah, they're not really, you know, going to interact with your pet much because, I mean, that would just be another programming nightmare. Like, oh no, he's dead, right? Like, they don't care, dude. Like, they're not gonna react to you and stuff in town, and that's okay. You can't be perfect, but this is miles and leagues ahead of frickin' Skyrim, or maybe not Skyrim. Maybe not Skyrim. Okay, I don't know about Skyrim, but like these guys. Okay, so I'm excellent with them. So when I walk by them, like, oh yeah, she's cool, man. Let her in. Like, there's a lot of just small touches, right? Now, this game does have the usual stuff, like if you crawl through an air vent or a tight crawl space, which is used to hide a game's loading screen in, like, every recent game ever, okay? But, like, even I'm not allowed in this area, watch. Like, they didn't quite point exactly at me, they just kind of pointed for me to go away, whatever. I mean, it's not perfect, okay? It's not completely perfect. But, alright, anyway, the air vents and tight spaces, like every freaking game ever uses that to hide a loading screen. And this game does too, okay? It's industry standard stuff. Some of these air vents, now, the air vents, they feel a little copy-pasted. I wish I had one to show you ready, but I don't. But they do add debris and, like, spider webs and random little trash decors. Oh, here's an air vent. I have to hack into it. That's fine. So yes, this game has a stupid lock-picking minigame. I know. It's a rhythm-based one, though. So let's listen. Doot, doot, doot. Okay, so we go doot, and then doot, doot. There we go. We got it open. Pretty easy, right? Now, we're going to open the vent we're trespassing, but okay, this was not a full vent. This is just access to a room. And, yeah, we can hack the computer and pick stuff up and steal stuff and whatever. But I don't really need to. I'm not going to, like, keep the save file. Anyway, the point is you know, like, the air vents are decorated differently. It's not copy-pasted Unreal sloppa like all the other lazy, like, indie devs that have been coming out forever. I am so sick of copy-pasted games. Almost every game has copy-pasted stuff. And yeah, I'm sure, like, this barrel right here is probably copy-pasted somewhere else. Like, I mean, there's a barrel right there, right? Not every barrel has to look unique and special, but when you're copy-pasting entire towns or entire dungeon layouts, that's when your game has a problem, and 30 hours in, I have not seen a single copy-pasted dungeon layout. Oh, here's another air vent. We can maybe go into this one. All right, let's... So, we're in the air vent now, and yes, like, this one has a spider web in the corner and some rust. The other ones might have, like, a blue crystal on the ceiling or a purple glowing rock on the ground. You know, just something to differentiate it. It's not a copy-pasted, boring, quick-fix job from some game wagey that spends 15 minutes of work doing his job, and then he goes and he gets the eucalyptus towels and the tapioca puddings and goes to the ping pong table for the next 7.5 hours, just shitting on the clock, doing nothing worth the time, wasting company funds, right? I believe Ubisoft did do a layoff recently that people are mad about. Well, you know who they laid off? All the lazy people that didn't work, because this game clearly had good management. Because this game was, what, 4 years in development? And they managed to make a huge, long story, lots of detail, no copy-pastes from what I've seen. I think that the Lucas Games company was overseeing this, I believe. I'm not sure. This is all, you know, speculation. And that anytime the game devs got lazy, they whipped them back into shape and told them to get back to work. It's crunch time. You're staying late tonight, bucko. You don't get to see your family. Whoopsh. Right? And this game, you can feel it. It clearly shows that it was made by passionate game devs that care about the Star Wars universe, that want to see and they want to play a game that they made. They made the game that they want to play, and it very clearly shows, right? It absolutely shows. But yeah, again, let's get back to Immersion. I kind of got a little bit off topic here. And so, I haven't seen any goofy jank NPC moments, you know, like them getting stuck in walls or whatever. I was kind of hoping one would happen. I love to show when I'm wrong, but I have yet to really see any kind of jank just running around the town here, right? Now, this game too, let's see, what else can we do here? So, another neat thing is that NPCs actually travel around organically, right? Which a lot of games try to hype up back in the day, like, oh, our characters have a day and night schedule. I don't know if these NPCs exactly do, but let me give an example. So, on one mission, I escorted a prisoner from a planet, and the faction I worked for sent a guy to pick him up from my ship. As I roamed around town just doing stuff like going shopping, I randomly saw the prisoner with an armed guard walking him through a crowd of not players, it's a single-player game, a crowd of NPCs, right? A crowd of people, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It's really small details like this that make the game feel alive and immersive. Most games would just disappear the NPC or teleport them from your ship to a prison cell. But this game actually took the time to script an NPC to walk all the way across town to your ship back to the detainment cell. It's really neat stuff. And which faction is this? Okay, we're good. We're chill. And I know this game, again, it's only been in development 4 years, you know? It's made by very passionate people that wanted to make a good Star Wars game. When is the last time a good Star Wars game came out? What, the first Battlefield, you know, way back in the PlayStation, 2 or 3 era, I think, maybe? Now, another thing, too, for Immersion, right? Or no, wait, one other thing I want to talk about is the game devs did not use their characters as a mouthpiece. They did not use the game to push a political agenda. There is no politics forced on the player. You know, they didn't put their own spin on the Star Wars universe like all those terrible TV shows like The Acolyte and The Mandalorian and even the more recent Star Wars movies. None of that bullcrap exists. I haven't seen a single, you know, Star Wars world-breaking thing, like no one's headbutting lightsabers, okay? I actually haven't seen a single lightsaber in the game, and that's, you know, pretty common because canonically, you know, in this time period, like Jedi and Sith Lords or whatever aren't really a thing, and if you saw one, that's like crazy. That's like a 1 in a quadrillion like chance, right? So anyway, another cool thing for Immersion, and look at all the little meepers, all the little rats running around. You don't feel like an overpowered Mary Sue character. We're not a Jedi. We're not a space marine. We're just like a street rat, underweight girl, you know, young lass, I guess. The story and events that happen in the game make you feel like the classic Star Wars scoundrel, you know, like you succeed by the skin of your teeth kind of thing, like Han Solo was doing in those movies, right? Much like, you know, how Star Wars scoundrels would find themselves barely getting out of really tight situations in just the nick of time kind of thing, right? I'm just going to say this now. This game, this Star Wars Outlaws game, it is like the Red Dead Redemption for Star Wars enjoyers. I'm going to just say that right now. So let's talk about the story. No spoilers here. Not going to spoil it. If you want the game spoiled, you can watch my playthrough videos, guide videos, what have you. But essentially, let me just give you my thoughts on the story. And no, I'm not going to show any cutscenes. I'm not going to show any dialogue. Now, I'm gonna be real with you here. I am not the biggest fan of this game's story. It's a basic poor person steals from the rich to save their life, and they meet characters along the way kind of thing. Now, Empire bad, rich evil cartels bad, poor downtrodden rapscallion thief good. Now, I'm only like 20% into the game's story, and my main gripe is that the main character, which we're playing as right now, her name is Kay Vess, okay? She's not a very confident character, and she just kind of fumbles her way through situations, kind of like a lost child. But at the same time, she also kind of acts like she just has a death wish, which I understand. I've been there before, right? But, you know, and she's basically just at the mercy of everyone else. They're basically controlling her life, and the story, it doesn't feel like the main character has a whole lot of say in what's happening, right? But again, like I said, I'm not too deep in the story yet, but it's pretty basic, a very basic story and very simple story. It's nothing overly complex or confusing. Look at that, there are like flies buzzing around the dumpster. That's neat. Now, I do enjoy the main character for the most part, because the main character right here, this lady, She converses like a real, actual human being would talk in real life, and not in some stupid, cryptic poetry bullcrap stage play that you see in movies and video games, okay? There's a very soulful element to it, and I don't really have the best way to convey or show a good example of what I mean here, but, like, okay, take the dialogue in a Quentin Tarantino movie, right? Like, okay, how about Clerks? The characters conversing with each other sound like real people. Like in Clerks, that's how actual friends would talk to each other. They're not talking at each other, they're talking to each other. Then you have really unnatural dialogue, like Star Wars 1 and 2 and The Matrix, okay? Yeah, they're good movies, I guess, but like the dialogue is really fake as hell. It's not genuine, it doesn't feel human. I know in The Matrix some of them aren't human, and that makes sense, right? But the real people don't talk like they do in those movies. It's kind of like written dialogue in a book versus spoken dialogue in real life. It makes sense if you read like Harry Potter and the dialogue that happens in Harry Potter happens, though the movies do put some human element into it. The books maybe-ish, I don't know. But Kay here, this lady, she's keeping it real, dog. But not all the characters in the story do. Kay does, but the side characters not so much. They kind of got that whole scripted dialogue crap kind of going on. Now, if you want to learn more about this game's story, then you could watch my full playthrough, so there you go, or my game guides. Alright, so let's talk about the music, and I know I'm just kind of walking through, like, random areas and stuff, and there's no music out here, but, so this is going to kind of sound a little weird, but there's a few tracks in the game, and I don't have examples to show you, that really heavily remind me of Final Fantasy Tactics tracks, but only in a very slightly. It's weird. It's like a few chords were copied from it. I don't know. But otherwise, the music in this game isn't really remarkable. It's not really memorable, and I haven't heard any of the classic tunes from Star Wars series at all. Like none of the, the tunes that we can hum out loud, right? But then again, I haven't seen... Oh, I'm blocking traffic. Oh, they ran me over. Look at that. Those jerks. Right? Now, I haven't seen the whole game yet. There's, still 2 planets I haven't been to, or solar systems, galaxies, whatever. The music I have heard so far in this game, it's unremarkable, it's forgettable, and I'm just not really that into it. There's really no banger tracks. Well, the title screen music... No, I don't want to go to desktop. I'm going to go to title screen. The title screen music kind of slaps a little bit, but I'm really just a fan of string instruments. Like the violin, the cello, I don't know, I can't name them all, but I'll just have you have a little listen right quick. And it kicks in a sec here. Okay, just give it a sec. Come on, any second now. All right, let's turn the volume up, actually. Alright, so that's been my favorite track so far in the game. I haven't found a track that really slaps as hard as this one, but it's not really super hummable or memorable like other Star Wars games or movies, I guess. So talking about the sound now, and I'm sorry I don't have examples to cite and show. I'm not some fancy IGN game journalism guy. I'm just a YouTuber, bro. I'm just doing this as a hobby. Anyway, the sound is on point in this game. Lots of voice lines, chatter, explosions, blaster stuff, speeders zipping by, ship noises. I have no complaints on the sound. Now, there's a few times where I did a takedown on an enemy and I didn't hear the impact of a punch or a knee to the groin or a kick to the face, but that's more likely a day one patch thing, and that could be my sound system. I'm using like a $14 pair of headphones, and when there's like 200 different sounds going on in the heat of battle, maybe the game can't process the one little slap to the face. I don't know. I am playing an unpatched version of the game, so stuff like that is pretty normal and on par the course for any game that hasn't been released yet. By the way, I'm playing this without it being released yet, and especially one with only 4 years of development. I mean, I think they did a lot in just 4 years' time. Most games to reach this level of polish take 7 to 10 years, but who knows? Yeah. So the ambience, okay, no complaints about the ambience. It sounds believable to me. If you're in a windy part with a bunch of fans, you know, outside, you can hear the fans. If you're in a snowy area, you can kind of hear the snowstorms. There was a part of the story where there's a fight outside the city walls. You can hear the explosions and the pew-pews and the people, you know, blowing up and stuff. Right now, there's not a whole lot going on. You got this guy kind of like welding like a wall, I guess. And he's just repairing like a panel. Don't know why. And, oh, he has no eye protection. I guess they don't need that in the future or in the space era. All right, so graphics. Now, I'm sorry I'm not citing examples. I'm just literally running around the game talking. That's what I do on my channel. The graphics look good. Not the best of the best. It's good. It's still good. It's still... It'll last the test of time for quite a while, assuming we don't go into some hyper 4D dimension like VR crap. But there's no stutters or performance issues. And I'm running an RTX 3080 with 64 gigs of DDR4 memory and an i9 10850K processor, and I get more than 60 FPS on 1080 resolution. Right now, I am limiting my frame rate because that makes my recordings more stable. You can see here my video settings. I don't have like stuff on Ultra, but here's my settings if you care. That is not the settings. That's where is the advanced stuff? I swear the graphics, maybe, yeah, advanced graphics. So here's graphics, here's advanced graphics. So everything on high, mostly. Now we have a few on medium, the ray tracing. I don't really know what ray tracing means. I'm not a graphics guy. I'm like a min-max MMORPG enthusiast, okay, guys? I'm not like a super graphics, like enjoyer. But I think these graphics look fine. If I look at, that's a droid, that's an alien dude, that's like a rabbit or dog or something. That's a dude, and he looked away from me, broke eye contact. Are you nervous, bro? Look, now he's like, he's kind of like doing whatever. This guy's squatting down. Looks like he's got a little alien ear thing. We got some guards. They'll let me in, I think, maybe. Nope, they don't want me in there because they hate my guts. All right, so, yeah, we have to sneak in there if we want to mess with those dudes. And, yeah, so the graphics are totally fine. I can tell what stuff is in a distance. That's like a gong on a wall. That's a light. That's an icicle. You can look at the sky. Look at some booba. No upskirt for us. You got a butt shot there. It's a little blurry because the camera's too close. You got the pet, Nix. He's just prowling around in the snow. And, yeah, so clearly the graphics are fine. Like this bunny thing kind of fluffed up some snow. What is that, an anteater bunny? I don't know what those creatures are. I don't know the animals of Star Wars. I'm so sorry. Look at them. They're like kicking up, you know. Yeah, it's a little goofy. They're kicking up, you know. You got the water reflections here. Okay, it's reflecting the lights of the building. I think that's pretty good. That's good enough for me. That's, you know, that doesn't look cheap. That looks like people put effort in it. Little blue rats, little blue meepers. Look at them. They're just kind of walking around. Oh, look at that. There's a little trail in the snow. Look at that's neat. See? I think the graphics are totally fine. What about the load times? Well, when the game does have a loading screen, which is when you blast off on a ship or load your game from the title screen, like going to space, sometimes when you fast travel, it's pretty quick. I don't play or have access to consoles, so I can't tell you if those are worse. I mean, they're going to be worse. They're literally consoles. PC Master Race, am I right? But for PC, it is very quick, especially when compared to a game like Starfield, okay? The controls are very fluid, responsive, and easy to master. The UI is clean. It gives you all the info you need when you're in combat. Whenever an enemy is about to chunk a grenade, set off an alarm, use a grenade launcher even, or do anything important, the UI is very minimalistic. It lets you know. Now, it's a little weird to get used to controlling Nix, which is, again, he's our little animal creature here. We can send him out to distract, we can attack guards, we can steal stuff. It's a little weird getting used to controlling him and using this kind of Nix sensor mode to, like, find items on the ground, and how it works when he can sense enemies for you, giving them a little outline. Like, I can see that there's an item, you know, behind this snowy bridge, and I can tell him to go get it, or I can just run up and loot it. I'm just going to beat him to it because I'm faster, so I can run down here, grab that Aurorium necklace, which is just vendor loot, vendor garbage. But, yeah, getting used to this was probably the hardest thing about the controls. And, yeah, but once you do, it becomes very simple, and it's intuitive, and it's really easy to learn. Now, I don't like having my run speed limited in towns, which we're in a little city right now, so my run speed is very limited compared to, like, the action areas. So I'm not a fan of that. All right. I wish there was more fast travel points, especially early on in the story. The game kind of wants to force you to explore and drive around and run everywhere at first. Luckily, it's only a few hours, and then after that, you start getting fast travel points. Now, then again, I'm just lazy. I'm just a lazy gamer. The speeder controls on PC could use work, okay? When you're on the speeder, if you mouse left or right, you stay moving or turning in that direction. It's so cringe. But luckily, you can use WASD, and when you turn left or right in the speeder using WASD, you stop turning left or right when you let go of the button, okay? So the mouse controls absolutely need work, but the keyboard controls just fine. All right. Now, the spaceship controls are very good. It makes combat sometimes a little too easy, but then again, canonically, it should be easy, and I'm not going to spoil the story, but the ship we have is overly powerful for what it is compared to other things. I know I showed space combat earlier, but I was fighting very high-level NPCs you're not supposed to, like, mess with. And I have not upgraded the ship since I got it at all. I can upgrade that thing 3 or 4 times over. I haven't touched the upgrades. I'm kind of like, I'm like one of those players that plays games, and at the final boss, I'll have 99 of the best healing items in the game, and I'll be like, nah, we're saving them. We need to save these for a rainy day. So I've been saving all my materials until I'm absolutely sure what I want to upgrade, okay? I'm just one of those cautious dudes. But the spaceship controls, again, they're very good, and there are times when you do stealth takedowns. This is another gripe. When you're stealthing and you do a stealth takedown, and I'm sorry that I can't show it right now because I'm lazy. I'm a lazy editor. But when there's multiple targets to stealth takedown, what I do is I have Nyx jump on the head of somebody, and he holds him in place, and then I stealth take down the other guard. Well, what happens is that if I stealth take down the one that Nyx is on, the other guard is free to arrest me and end the mission because he's not being attacked or being held up by the animal. So I have to start the area completely over again. And it's really frustrating because it tries to target whoever you're aiming at with the camera or whoever you're closer to. But sometimes it has a fight with the camera and who you're closer to. And you'll end up attacking the wrong target. Now, this is probably not a problem on controllers or whatever. But for PC players, it's super annoying. And again, just a minor gripe, it's not deal-breaking, it's not like, don't buy this game, right? So, yeah, there's that. And you end up getting arrested or caught a whole bunch. It's just frustrating. Now, I also want to mention that this game was clearly made with consoles first in mind, which I don't like. So when I open, like, a menu, to navigate the menu is weird. It's unusual for keyboard and mouse controls. It's not as intuitive as other games. Like the menu navigation was clearly coded for console gamers first. It's got weird buttons like right click to close a menu instead of escape, right? And yeah, I can push escape and close this menu, but there's some menus you have to push right click to close. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of annoying, right? It's just really stupid. Now, is the game fun? The game is fun once you've learned the mechanics and the basics, but it can also be insanely frustrating on the forced stealth segments. I'm very stubborn, and I refused early on to grind faction rep to be allowed into territories. So, like right now, this map's not a good indicator of it, but earlier you saw a clip where I tried to enter into a territory, and they wouldn't let me in because I am hated by those guys. So you can still sneak in. You can sneak in and do whatever you want, but if they catch you, you can't kill them, you can't run away. They just send you back outside the mission parameters, and you get docked a little bit of money, I think, and you lose rep with them even more. It's really frustrating. These are forced stealth segments. You cannot be caught at all. You can knock out the guards, but I don't have a fusion cutter to go into this area. There's Metroidvania for you. I don't know where to get a fusion cutter. I haven't played enough, I guess. I haven't met the right NPC. But essentially, it's just really frustrating, the forced stealth segments. Oh my god. And so early on, I was like, I'm not going to do the side missions and grind rep and be their friend so they'll let me into their stupid base. I'm just going to sneak in and do the main story mission and get it over with. Well, this cost me like 5 to 10 hours of gameplay. Alright, so I burned through several hours of restarting the area until I managed to not get caught. These were the I'm going to take a break from this game moments for sure, where I was very frustrated and I stepped away from the game, sometimes for hours at a time, to shitpost on 4chan, I guess, but not about the game, of course. Absolutely not. I did not talk about this game one bit. I was talking about some other game. But anyway, but it was not an I quit moment. It was not that bad, okay? It was not an I quit and uninstall moment. I feel like these segments, however, they either had too many guards or their vision was too buffed from an even earlier review copy of the game. Because I know earlier review copies, a lot of the, like, you know, game journalists and big game websites showed off gameplay where the guards are, like, completely blind and oblivious and stupid and can't see 2 feet in front of them, right? But I didn't have that experience. I did not have that experience. I had the opposite experience. The guards had eagle eyes. They could see across the whole level. They could see me immediately, even sometimes behind a few walls, you know, if I'm, like, just jaunting around and not in complete stealth mode. And, man, it's real frustrating there. But, now, I am also playing on a review copy of the game, but not the same review copy that they played on, to my knowledge, okay? I just know that a lot of reviewers complained about the guards being too blind or too simple to take out, and maybe they buffed them. So, more on this topic later, though. So, difficulty. First off, this game doesn't present you with the difficulty setting upon starting a new game, which almost every game does this, but this one didn't. And since I didn't dive into the options and settings menu before playing, I had no idea there was a difficulty adjustments. Now, I found a lot of the gripes that I'm about to give you have been fixed or adjusted. So take this next rant with a bit of salt because I'm not rewriting or rescripting this segment. I feel like the earlier parts of the game are far, far more difficult than the later parts so far from what I played. And I'm so dead here. I just flew off a cliff. I don't know if this was a dev response to earlier reviews or criticisms, but I feel like there's just too many guards in the forced stealth sections, and that their vision is a little too good. This might be changed with the day one patch, but otherwise, coming from a lifelong background of playing video games, and even being an esports professional in my teen years, I found the game's difficulty to be fair, but doable, even when you brute force the stealth sections into what would be an impossible combat situation. I do have a gripe with some of the environments being very unclear of where to go, or what is technically climbable, but once you figure these out, you feel kind of dumb for not realizing it earlier. Yeah, some areas have the obnoxious yellow paint telling you what to climb, but not everything is this obvious. And again, I'm sorry I'm not showing you examples on the screen, okay? Also, some of the side quest missions are strictly state stuff like, you get one shot at this, meaning if you fail the mission, you can't retry the mission. But because this game can be save scummed, so I feel like this is just added to the game to piss off purists, or people that, you know, feel guilty about abusing a save load mechanic. You literally just load the game if you fail until you pass it. Why even have this in the game at all? The game does ramp up combat encounters, which you'll have to adjust and adapt, which is nice. Even, you know, like, it does this at a decent pace, I guess, to say. Not to lock you into a trial and error loop or make you feel like you're being filtered for being casual or bad at video games, which some games just have a straight-up difficulty wall or barrier that you'd have to overcome. I haven't hit one of those yet in this game, other than the mandatory stealth sections. So the mandatory stealth fail if caught segments, which I believe filtered all the gaming journalists, okay, because I haven't seen any of their footage that is beyond those areas. Like, I'm being serious. There is a lockpicking minigame, which I think I showed a little bit of earlier, which heavily relies on rhythm game skill. And it's real simple, but as a huge rhythm game fan and tournament player for rhythm games, I found it insanely easy. But maybe people who struggle or have no experience at all with rhythm games might find this difficult. Now, difficulty can be adjusted based on your health, the enemy's health, your wanted level difficulty, lock picking, and the slicing minigame, which I haven't shown on the screen because those are really hard to find. And there's a street food minigame to acquire pet buffs, which I can't redo those. They are a once and done kind of thing. There's also blaster fire in the distance, it looked like, over here. I think I saw blaster fire. Maybe not. Might have been a graphic glitch. First one in the video. All right, let's go. All right. But anyway, you could also make your own custom difficulty. I guess I can show that off right now. You can open the menu and go to settings. You can go to gameplay, and you can change the enemy difficulty, player health, wanted level difficulty. You can change all this stuff, right? You can literally make your own difficulty levels. Accessibility, you can go to gameplay. This is another spot. You can go from, like, I'm on adventurer, right? You can go to outlaw and scoundrel, and then you could even do a custom one where you can customize your gameplay experience, right? So that's neat. That's really cool. I think that's super duper cool. Now, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, this is speculation, playing the game on an easier or harder difficulty doesn't gatekeep you from extra scenarios like a better ending or, you know, like special loot. From my experience and from what I know, again, I don't know for certain though. Accessibility, all right? This game has many different accessibility options. All right, let's go look at them right quick. From simplifying, where are you at? There you go. Simplifying alien-like numbers on the Sabat card game to highlighting enemies and visualizing sound cues for the hearing impaired. There's colorblind settings, like, I don't know how to say these, protanopia, deuteranopia, and tritanopia. You can customize contrast modes, HUDs. There's a whole lot of stuff that you can do in these options. You know, pretty customizable stuff here. And, yeah, very, very cool for them to add that to the game. All right, now, I'm personally legally blind, which means I can still see shapes and colors and light within an arm's distance. Anything past my arm's length is pretty damn blurry and hard to make out, but I can still see movement and lights and colors and shapes. Just, it's extremely blurry, okay? Legally blind means I could drive with glasses, okay? It doesn't mean that I'm like, I have a walking stick or anything, guys, all right? Now, so I played the game on regular difficulty, and I find that enemies were hyper-aware in the forced stealth sections, but this goes from hard to challenging, okay? And apparently you can turn the exploration mode on that highlights all the climbable stuff, so that gripe I had earlier in the video kind of negates my gripes a bit. Whoops. So if you have trouble progressing in the story, turn on where it highlights and yellow paints all the climbable stuff. It'll make the game easier and more enjoyable. Now, I want to go over some of the nitpicks, the criticisms, the gripes that other people have made on this game, and that other YouTubers and just the Star Wars community at a whole, at a large, has made about this game. And so I'm going to be taking a few YouTube channels here. I'm going to do It's a Gundam, which is a cool guy. I love the dude's content. I think it's hilarious. And I absolutely agree with almost all of his takes. But I think he really dropped the ball on this one, and that he's just following the hate trend. And I'm going to debunk some of it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to agree with some of it. And so let's just get into that real quick. Oh, and I'm also going to cover the IGN 10-minute game review and its comments, because there's a lot of hoopla on that too. So first off is the Ma'am Solo or the Hana Solo controversy of sorts. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a Gundam. He's a YouTuber. He's much bigger than me. He's got like triple my views per month. Sub counts don't really matter anymore. It's 2016. But yeah, his video, Pay to Play a Dead Game. IGN just loves Star Wars Outlaws. All right, and yeah, so the very first nitpick is the Ma'am Solo thing. And yes, I am allowed to literally show a screenshot of a YouTube video. I'm not using the content, okay? There is no copyright strike claimable stuff to be shown from that, whatever. Okay, so I get it, okay? The main character isn't a dude. I totally understand, right? And, look, I get it. The main character isn't hot. The main character is not a bangable female. The game could improve in this regard, absolutely, sure. But it's not a deal breaker. Would I prefer a strong male lead protagonist? Absolutely yes, right? Would I settle for an attractive female lead? Yeah, of course. Does the main character being what she is make the game woke slop, though? No. The main character being what she is does not make the game woke slop. Does the main character do feminist empowerment girl boss stuff? Not at all. Not in 30 hours so far. She hasn't done a single one of those things. If anything, she's been more of a kind of useless side character, really. Next up is the devs that made The Division made this, and that game sucks. So, I've never actually played The Division 1 and 2. I can't really comment on that or not, but I will say that showing off the pre-rendered trailers is pretty scummy, like how, you know, for E3 on The Division, they had a pre-rendered, you know, trailer, and then when you get to the actual game, it doesn't look anything like that. That is absolutely scummy, I agree. But this game looks fine from what I've played, and you can see it right here on the screen. It looks fine to me. All right, again, this is a similar gripe to Mam Solo, but the main character is ugly. Listen, bro, it's Star Wars, okay? I'm gonna be real with you for a moment. None of the characters in Star Wars are hot, except maybe Padme. But even she's like a 6 out of 10 at best. Leia is boring. She's mid. She's a plain Jane, run-of-the-mill girl. She I can go to the grocery store and find cashiers hotter than freaking Princess Leia. Okay, the Twi'lek girls. Look, man. They're alien girls. They're like monster girls. Like, you might as well be a furry at that point. Okay. What about Rey, the new Star Wars girl, the new girl boss of Star Wars? Rey is a mid character. Besides, like, here's the thing, right? Having your characters be too attractive will detract from the game. Okay, think of that game Stellar Blade. Remember that game? Like, the main character is like a hot supermodel mannequin. Alright, to me, playing that game, it feels like you're just controlling a mannequin sex doll, and none of the story elements or personal development matters because lol sex lamau. Real talk, when's the last time that you bought a game or played a game because of a character's sex appeal? Alright, pre-rendered cutscenes look bad. So, some do, and I agree. I agree that, you know, it feels like the in-game explosions are far better looking. Do I have grenades on this save? Let's see. Do I have any grenades? Let's see. Yeah, I do. Okay, let's throw a grenade. There we go. Look at that. That looked freaking good. I think that looked pretty good. That looked way better than that stupid cutscene that was played on that IGN 10-minute preview. I'm going to get to that in a bit and debunk why that looks so bad. There's a pretty basic and simple reason why, okay? But anyway, the only logical reason I can think as to why the cutscenes look bad is that maybe people working on the gameplay are a different team or studio than the people that did the cutscenes. And this is pretty normal for a lot of companies. Like Blizzard outsourced in StarCraft 2, they outsourced their cutscenes to a Chinese company. It's pretty common for game studios to do this. This is a very small L that isn't something to invalidate playing the game, though. Like, do you buy a game based on, oh, the cutscenes, dude? No, just YouTube the cutscenes. What's the matter with you, right? Like, 10 years from now, do you really care if a cutscene isn't graphically divine? Now, I remember, like, back in the day, Final Fantasy X, it had weird cutscenes where Titus, or is it pronounced Titus, was very more discolored than he normally is with janky limb movement in the cutscenes. And it's still a decent game regardless, right, guys? Repeating and boring plotline. The plot is the same as any Star Wars plot. So yeah, this is a legitimate gripe. You got a street rat that has grown up in poverty, who is betrayed by absolutely everyone, yet she skips along the story just going with the flow. I am absolutely not a fan of this, and me personally, I grew up and I still am in extreme poverty. And we, talking about me and all my poor down ghetto bros, we are hyper paranoid anytime someone wants to help us. All right? Anytime. No matter what it is, no matter how small or how big. There are so many moments in this game where the character, without spoiling things, she acts so out of character towards randomly helpful individuals, and it makes zero sense other than to move the story forward. The game tries to justify this as well as like, oh, you don't have a choice. You have to do this or bad things will happen. But it's Star Wars! You just fly away on a backwater planet and live there, off-grid. It's as if the main character is secretly wanting to die. The thermal detonator explodes in a cutscene and it just sends her flying a few feet. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so this one's also absolute crap, okay? So Kay, the main character, she takes one step away from a thermal detonator at her feet. One step, not even a big step. And she doesn't get scratched at all by the explosion, okay? Must have been a movie prop thermal detonator or a second-rate, you know, offbeat, fake, counterfeit thermal detonator, right, guys? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Or some other canonical bullshit reason. Again, the story is not the strongest part of this game, and I agree that this scene was absolutely stupid and mishandled. And whichever game executive signed off and they looked at it and they're like, yeah, that looks good. We'll go ahead and do that. Absolutely dropped the ball on this one. Oh, the story's bad. Okay, so I'm not too far into the story. And so far, the story it's not really the greatest. I don't really play video games for the story, though. It's nice if a game has a decent, memorable story. But these days, can you really name any good movies, TV shows, or even games that do have a good story? Like, every movie has been slop, every game has been slop in the stories, and the gameplay too. At least the gameplay is decent here, and there's a lot to do, and it's pretty fun. So yeah, this game definitely takes an L on the story, at least so far. Maybe it gets better, I don't know, I haven't progressed far enough to really... I don't even know the full story. So, stealth gameplay mechanics, oblivious enemies. Now, again, It's a Gundam has clips on this, and so does IGN, and look, I'm a paranoid YouTuber. If I get copyright striked by these guys, I'm basically dead in the real world. So I'm not going to show you the footage from their channels. I'm too afraid. I don't know them personally. There's nothing I could do if they decided to wreak vengeance upon me, right? But I'll talk about it. So I don't know if this was a super early review version of the game or someone completely nuked the difficulty settings for the game journalists, but playing on normal difficulty, the very second that you shoot a dude or blow something up, the entire area goes on full alert and they Zerg rush you down, okay? The clip that It's a Gundam showed, it makes the game a cakewalk. I wish parts of the game were that damn easy. I wish they were, but that's not the case in the version of the game that I'm playing. The character is using the default gear in the clip, which at that part of the game they should have upgraded gear if they know what they're doing, which means no stealth bonuses. So I think this one is complete horseshit, because when I did this section, the enemies weren't oblivious at all. There's also a scene where a stormtrooper is 1 foot away, being pointed at by a pistol with a question mark doing nothing at all. I have 2 answers for this, okay? So this one I can explain mostly. Now, there's a skill called Fast Talk in the game, and in my version of the game, when you're holding your hands up, you can still quick draw and shoot them during the Fast Talk skill. The skill distracts enemies from taking action against you for a short time, meaning they'll just sit there and point their guns at you and not fire or go on full alert mode, right? So I assume that this specific clip, either the player had the difficulty nerfed into the gaming journalist levels, or the Fast Talk skill animation wasn't in place yet for that version, but I have another solution too, and that is there are lots of kind of semi-neutral areas on the map here with Empire soldiers. Like, if I go over here, there'll be like little checkpoints. My character is allowed to go to those checkpoints and roam around as long as I'm not like bumping into the guards. They're fine. I'm just a citizen. They're not going to shoot me for being a citizen, right? Oh, Pirate Camp Raid. There we go. But essentially, in that clip, I watched it again. It's out in the open world. As you can see, it's outdoors. It's at a small outpost, so you can literally go up to a guard and point your blaster at them, and they'll be like, hey, what are you doing here? Get the hell out of here, right? And I understand, in real life, if you went up to a police officer and pointed a gun at them, you're dead. I know this. However, in the Star Wars universe, the clone troopers probably have more reserve, because it's a future. They don't want to just harm citizens that are schizoing out, pointing blasters at their armor that should protect them from such a weak and small arms fire weapon. But that's, I don't know, okay? I just don't know, man. Okay, what about the bad stealth takedown animations? Okay, so I'm 50-50 on this one. I'm going to fight for both sides here. First off, some of the takedowns in the real world will knock out a real human in real life. And I am a very strong person in the real world. And if I kidney punch you or do most of the takedowns on you, and you're not wearing helmets and armor, you're going to be out cold, you're going to be dead, or you're going to be unable to function or call for help. Now, Kay, all right, our main character, Kay, she's a very small female woman, okay? However, she's in the Star Wars universe, and canonically in the Star Wars universe, she is probably akin to our world as a gold Olympic medalist in terms of physical prowess. I know she doesn't look like it. Her physical feats in the game when doing parkour sections are insanely impressive for a human, and she technically can free hang forever. She can do infinite pull-ups. No human can really do these, I don't think. Now, I'm not a Star Wars geek, but the Bacta in this game is like, in a lot of Star Wars games, Bacta is the magical healing potion that heals your character, right? It seems to have a very similar healing properties to that of, say, a Senzu bean in Dragon Ball. Have you ever seen the Dragon Ball Z anime? There's a little bean that the characters can eat, and it fully restores their health, okay? So this means that Kay here, she can basically instantly and fully recover her everything. So this means that someone like Kay could essentially strength and muscle train and go far beyond anyone on Earth possibly could, quite easily. If a 130-pound Bruce Lee can 1-inch punch a 60-pound bag into the ceiling, like a punching bag, then Kay here could absolutely haymaker a guard into unconsciousness, especially when being able to punch so hard with so much ferocity and force that it tears all of her muscle fibers and maybe even breaks her hand, right? To the point where her arm is completely inoperable, only to just jab a tank of Bacta into her leg and fully recover seconds later, having gained insane muscle growth potential from the physical feat she just did, right? Because the way you build muscles, for those that don't know, you have to tear them down to build them back up. It's that simple, right? Now on the flip... Oh, look at him. He's like riding the little motorcycle. Now, on the flip side, a fully armored guard, like a stormtrooper, should be able to completely survive, say, a sledgehammer to the back of the head and still be conscious, because that's what helmets do. Now, this game has a lot of story canon built into it. I can't show or cite examples of the story, really. I mean, I could, but I'm lazy, okay? I'm just lazy. There's a lot of canon in this game's story about how the ships, the weapons that the guards have, the equipment, all of it being very heavily downgraded due to the Empire and the Rebellion and stuff to cut costs and save on the budget. Meaning the enemy ships, the enemy's weapons, they're all inferior to Kay's little blaster, which, without going into too much detail, is a vintage weapon that can be heavily modified to the point of it being better than anything the Stormtroopers have, right? So, basically, the enemy's gear is inferior to Kay, and their physical prowess is inferior to Kay. Her blaster, her ship, and even her own regular stuff. Now, I feel like this is also just a piss take to canonize her for being able to slam a guard on the ground and knock them out completely, okay? Now, we all know, factually, and I don't care if there's any feminists that want to play pretend, we all know that in the real world, a football linebacker could one-arm chokeslam this woman into the pavement, and she couldn't do anything to stop him, other than maybe gouge an eye out or hit him in the nuts. But I don't get the feel that this game is really trying to push a feminist female empowerment thing by allowing her to knock out a guard. I think it's just a gameplay mechanic. It's like Solid Snake can choke out and snap necks. Yeah, he's a trained soldier. He's physically fit. Kay is canonically physically hyper fit. Like canonically, Kay would be able to just kill Solid Snake. I'm not joking. Like nanomachines versus infinite back to muscle regeneration. Let's go death battles. Do it. Right? Now, later on, okay, there are, and none of the game journalists pointed this out or show this in gameplay clips. Later on in the game, there are heavily armored guards that you cannot knock out because their helmets are actually functional. You can't melee them at all. They're like elite enemies, right? You can't melee them because you're still a weak female, and they'll just choke slam you to the ground and punch you out. And your punches do no damage to them. You literally die in seconds to them if they get in melee range. You literally have to run from them or shoot them over and over and over again, chipping away at their armor. I'm not joking. That's a gameplay mechanic, right? And they will absolutely manhandle you around like the weak little girl that you actually are. There's also droids that do the same thing. If a droid gets in the melee range, you're basically dead. It's a freaking Terminator that's going to kill you. It's what the Helldivers have been fighting, right? You can't stealth kill the droids either. At least I can't. Maybe there's an unlock or a piece of equipment later on that will let me stealth kill droids. I haven't found it yet. So there was gripes about a blaster battle animation. And so the clip shows, and I wish I could show the clip so you know what I'm talking about. The clip shows an enemy being repeatedly shot by a blaster in the chest, only for the enemy to wiggle around a bit, looking super ugly and jank. And everyone made fun of this, okay? Now, this one is a very easy debunk. There's no enemies around for me to shoot, but I can just go ahead and kind of show you in the game here. So, the blaster has different modules that you can load into it. Okay, different, not abilities, but equipment. We go to blaster. So I have a plasma, ion, and then this is a charge shot, which on this save file I don't have. But the ion blaster is used to fire ionized particles that break shields and kill droids. On humanoids, it doesn't tell you on the screen here, but on humanoids, it stuns them. It does not kill them. It is non-lethal to humans. You do this, and that will stun enemies, okay? That'll stun enemies. Now, in the clip, the exact clip, you can see that the bolts are blue, and that the enemy is like, it looks like he's being tased. This is the actual blaster. The red bolts are the kill bolts. You have a stun shot, which is this thing, it's a blue circle, and then you have the ion shots, which is blue lasers. In the clip, the player shoots a guard over and over and over and over in the chest with the blue bolts. Okay? So he's not going to kill the guard. He's just stunning them. But because it's a game journalist, they suck at video games and they're stupid. And so, they're like, it's almost like IGN purposely tried to make the game look bad, almost. Right? So, the blue shots are used to power puzzle pieces, kill droids, and stun organic life forms. This is basically like tasing the enemy and nothing more. That's why the enemy stiffened up and wriggled around before continuing to fight. This is a straight-up piss take from someone trying to discredit the game. The IGN, I believe it was IGN reviewer that had a weird sentence about the blaster combat, trying to justify it. So, let me translate it for you. Fighting the whole damn room is difficult and high stakes. So getting caught is something you don't want to do, and you just know a tough fight will ensure if you're detected. Alright, so can't reload enemy weapons. Yeah, okay, so this one's pretty stupid, but your blaster can be modded, and it's basically the best weapon in the game anyway. So using the enemy's weapons is just more of a for funsies, or I want to be cinematic right now kind of purposes. There's very little situations where the enemy's weapon are a higher DPS, that's RPG speak for damage per second, or more accurate. Also, lore-wise, imagine you spent your whole life with a 6-shooter little pistol, and in a situation you find an assault rifle, and somehow you think that you'll be more deadly and accurate with it innately, even though you've never shot one in your life. I still wish we could just have more weapon variety, yes, absolutely. But for gameplay purposes, it's not that big of a deal. The gripe is justified. It's truly justified. Imagine that you're playing Red Dead Redemption with just a pistol the whole game. Even though you can make the pistol in this game into a grenade launcher, you can make it into a machine gun, it doesn't make it more cool. It just, like, you know, just give players the ability to choose weapons. And I know that all the meta dorks like myself will figure out the highest time to kill weapon, or the shortest time to kill weapon, whatever the phrasing is, and then teach everyone, oh, this is the best weapon in the game, use this, whoop! And then everyone uses that weapon forever, and so you just wasted, like, months of development time making cool weapons that aren't as useful. I get that. So channels forced to remove video reviews, and I hopefully this doesn't happen to me, but so I did some very basic research on this. And all I could come out, or what I could find, is that that the date that they were told they were allowed to upload the video for the review wasn't entirely clear to them. So, because here in America, the date format is month, day, year, from left to right. And in Europe, it's day, month, year. So when the YouTubers that messed this up, which were from Europe, probably on purpose, by the way, so they can try to, you know, pin the blame on the date format, but let's just be real. Okay, so they got the month number mixed up with the day number, and they put the video out too early. Now, this is all allegedly, this is all speculation, I don't know for sure, so just, I don't know, man. So the IGN 10-minute gameplay video, let's debunk that one together. There's a lot of debunks here. So first off, the IGN reviewer, I'm not going to say his name, but if you look at his review history, he either exclusively plays every single game on controller, or he's playing on console versions of the game. Now, I can't prove that he's playing on console, but almost all of his reviews that I clicked on and looked at, they all are being played on a controller, because the heads-up displays on the games he's playing show controller button inputs, including the one for Star Wars Outlaws. So that's why the game's going to look uglier, alright? A lot of people say that the game looks like crap, and looking at the video, it does look less than ideal. It looks way worse than what I see on my computer screen. Why is that? So it's most likely that he's playing on console. Consoles are not as strong or as beautiful as PC. IGN says in the pinned comment with some weird corpo speak, this video isn't airing at optimal quality by default. Like, what? What does that even mean? You render and your upload failed? What? Huh? The gameplay that they chose had to be the most uninteresting planet, which was a desert planet called Tatooine, with the ugliest level to explore, which is just a dead Sarlacc pit, which means you have to go in the dark and use a little purple glowing light with a boring quest which is a fetch quest with minimal parkour and minimal combat. I guess they wanted to keep it spoiler-free, or that was all that Ubisoft allowed them to stream, I guess? Anyway, let's debunk the comments. Now, I will agree the thermal detonation thing was pretty stupid. I don't think it's the worst thing ever in a video game, though. Why is this the most upvoted comment? That's clearly botted. You know, some other game company was like, buff this comment up, guys. But no, really, like, honestly, yeah, the thermal detonation thing is really stupid. The person that made that cutscene probably thought it was just a regular old cheap-ass desert grenade or something. Now, a lot of people are hating on Skull and Bones, myself included, and so it is not the same Ubisoft studio that made Skull and Bones. That was a Singaporean studio. It's giving soulless cash grab energy. I'm going to disagree with this one big time, because this is actually a very soulful game, which is exceedingly rare in this day and age. Blaster fire blows up an explosive barrel. Enemies must have been the wind. My only guess is that whoever was playing the game went to the accessibility, and then they turned, hold on, let's go to the custom one, and then they turned down, where is it? Hold on. No, maybe it's, there's an option. Let me find it. Okay, enemy difficulty. It's in here. It's, this affects the amount of health they have and their awareness of player actions. So you turn this shit down to story mode, and they're gonna be oblivious as hell, probably. I'm not gonna test it. I don't care. This is what you can expect from a studio that said Skull and Bones is a quadruple A game. No, it's not the same studio. It's a completely different studio. This guy thinks he's cheeky for using a third-party app to look at dislikes. Those are an estimate. I could download the same app and then show you my dislikes and then open my YouTube panel and show you the actual dislike count, and it's going to be off by a little bit. It's semi-accurate, but it's not entirely. All right, so this comment here. So basically, there's nothing going on in the desert. You just ride to your destination in complete boredom and silence. So right now in the game, I am in the open world. Now, there are parts in the story where you are locked into a pseudo-open world. There is not a big open world map for you to go from point A to point B to do your mission. Mostly there is. Sometimes there's not. For instance, in a snowy city, you have to ride your speeder through a kind of a highway to get to the destination. And now that is boxed in. Now, I guarantee you on that mission, that desert mission, probably most likely that is a boxed in quest area that is purely just for cinematic purposes, or it's hiding a loading screen. As you ride through the desert, it's loading in the area. These are little tricks that game devs do to make the game have less now loading screens. Alright, so this one. K is unfazed by an exploding barrel in immediate proximity. An enemy further away instantly expires from the explosion. Yes, you as the player are very, very durable, especially on easier difficulties. But explosions still hurt pretty good. They're not one-shots, though. I mean, okay, I'm going to tell you right now. If you make a game with one-shots where the enemy kills you instantly, people quit. People uninstall. So, yes, it's realistic that if you get blown up, you're dead. However, you can tank at least 2 or 3 explosions before dying. Also, don't quote me on this because I could be wrong, but I think the game has some sort of basic survival mechanic where if I'm at full health and 10 dudes shoot me all in the head at once, I get dropped down to 1% health. So, it lets me find cover and possibly pop a heal before I die. I think this is intentional because a lot of games have this kind of mechanic. There's no interaction between the characters and the environment. The bike doesn't kick up dust, her feet doesn't make any tracks, the explosions have no effect on anything but the enemy. So I've already showed snow in the tracks, and right now I'm literally on the speeder. You can see that dust is clearly kicking up under me. There's also like, you know, dirt and sticks and grass flying everywhere. You can clearly see that this is because the reviewer chose to play, and that speeder that just went past me, I think it's a speeder. Look, it's gonna kick. Look, it's kicking up dust right now. Debunked. Get owned. All right, we have 10 minutes to show off our new Star Wars game. What should we show them? How about a boring fetch quest across the vast expanse of empty dunes and bland cave? That's probably all they were allowed to show, and they did a really bad job of it. Another gripe I have about that damn trailer that IGN showed is that they have subtitles off so you can't understand the Jawa, which is so dumb. Like, the Jawa just goes, you know, he makes little minion noises, right? As they do, you know, like, Houdini! And the main character's like, yeah, okay, I understand, totally, I'll do that. And you're like, what the hell do they say? Well, when you have subtitles on, and this happens a lot in the game because they'll speak other languages. Well, our character is multilingual somehow. I don't know how. But we can understand Java language and it's Hut language, I think, and all the other languages. And you could read the literal subtitles of what those alien creatures are telling you. This is a little nitpick. Alright, so I need to test the awareness difficulty because this is kind of bugging me, right? So let's go to settings, and let's go to gameplay, and then change enemy difficulty to story mode. There we go. And screw it. Let's make player health story mode and wanted difficulty story mode. There we go. So now we're on super easy piss mode. And let's go into this, you know, Imperial base. There we go. There's a speeder. Let's just get right in there, and let's see how blind and idiotic they truly are. Because, I mean... It makes no sense. So look how close I can get and they don't see me. Oh my goodness. Oh, they're kind of seeing me. Alright, so those guys saw me. Let's get in front here. And look, the guards inside aren't alerted. The guards inside are literally like, what's going on? I hear noise. Look at these. Look, they're not doing shit. Oh, okay, that one noticed a little bit. There we go. Now they notice. So, there we go. So that's story mode. Alright, so now that was on, what was that, story mode? So, regular mode, you know, we'll just go back to regular mode. There we go. And you'll see just how much more aware they are. I'm just going to approach on foot here. So, let's just take a... Oh, that should have did fall damage, whatever. Anyway, let's walk back to that front gate. And I don't want the AT to see me, but, yeah, okay, there we go. So, again, there's run mode. If you run, they hear you. This is kind of like crouch sneak mode, and then you have full crouch mode. So... Here we go. And see, look how far away that one saw me. Look, see, the immediate alert. Boom, 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 boom. Everyone's alerted. That is a huge, huge difference. And now I'm on the hardest difficulty, so we're going to see just how far away they can see me now. So, again, this should be super duper hard, explosive, you know, insta-kill you with headshots, Omega cheater mode. So, we're sneaking. I shouldn't be able to be viewed by that. Okay, he can kind of see me. What the hell? Like, I'm behind okay, he's buggering off, whatever. Run over here. Now we're creeping. That guy sees me. I'm crouching. Now they all see me. That alerted the whole camp. Boom. These guys, like, they hear the gunshots. So, clearly the AI is there. You just have to change the damn difficulty. Now, one other thing, too, is that there is equipment that makes you disguised. So I have, this is called Imperial Disguised Gear, which increases the ability to avoid detection by Imperials, alright? And so, what I can also assume is that clip is actually much later in the game, and you kind of should have this armor by then. And you could, from my understanding, I don't know if this is absolute or certain, you could probably transmogrify your basic starter gear to look like the disguised gear to you, the player. And so there's probably also consumables or buffs or even the Nyx treat buffs that also increase your ability to be stealthy and disguised, as well as charms and other things to buff this like crazy. So you could put the game on the easiest difficulty, have all the disguise buffs going, and then you could just make a little review video and try to paint Star Wars in a bad light, or the game as a bad light with crappy AI when the game is just doing what you're wanting it to do, right? I think it's very disingenuous. Or they just played an earlier copy of the game, or the console version, the AI really is jank. I don't know, man. So, should you buy this game? Would I buy this game? I'm going to tell you, I'm a guy that never buys video games. The last game that I bought was in 2020. It was Cyberpunk 2077, because I would feel too much shame to ask my YouTube audience to buy that game for me. So, I just, you know, flipped the bill and bought it myself. And then the game before that I bought was some indie game called Will to Live Online for 15 bucks. So, I've bought 2 total video games in the past 6 years. Should you buy this game? Abso-freaking-lutely. This is the GTA of Star Wars. This is the Red Dead Redemption of Star Wars. And would I buy this? Let's say I wasn't a YouTuber and I couldn't get this game for free from my fans or from the developers Ubisoft. And yes, if I was just a regular person with a 9-to-5 job or even a crappy retail fast food job, I would absolutely buy this game and play it, and I would enjoy it, and it's a very well done, soulful, absolute great game. I would give this 9 out of 10. Okay, for those of you that skipped to the end, you missed all the juicy bits, and I don't mean juicy like as in you know, bits, but whatever. This thing will hold you over until Grand Theft Auto 6. This game will hold you over until, what else is coming out in the next few months? Until Black Ops 6, I guess. This game will absolutely keep you busy for quite a while. Something to play on a sick day if you're, you know, still in school, I guess, or something. But, like, absolutely buy this game. I am not a channel that bullcraps anybody. I don't talk crap. I am not paid for. I am not bought by the company. I am not compromised with any kind of stupid gifts. Like, they didn't offer to send me to Disney World or whatever. They didn't fly me out to their studios to play the game. And I'm just a gamer, just like you. I'm not a company. I'm not an asset. I'm not some sort of shill for Ubisoft or Star Wars. I'm just a regular gamer guy that generally doesn't even care or play single-player games. Absolutely 100% buy this. You won't regret it. You'll have fun with it. You'll enjoy it. You'll like it. There's plenty to do. It'll keep you busy. It's worth the money. It is a full-blown, long-ass game that, you know, it's so refreshing to see a game like this compared to all the damn slop and the garbage games that have been coming out lately. I am just so glad there's finally a good game to play. And with that said, if you want to learn more about the game, learn the best ways to play the game, I am a literal guide channel. I'm not a review channel, I'm a guide channel. So if you want to learn how to best this game and find all the cool secrets and play through the levels, then hit that subscribe button, because I'm going to try to pump about 40 videos of this game. We'll see. And also with that said, please leave a like, because there's a whole army of haters right now. They're like the IGN review spawned all the hate channels to make a bad video on this, and you know, they were, from what was shown at the time, they were correct in their judgments. I'm not saying they were wrong, but the actual game, you know, once you get your hands on it, and once you see that it was just IGN fumbling the ball, okay, that's what it was. IGN screwed the pooch here. That, you know, everyone reacted to it, you know, without actually critically thinking and being like, well, maybe IGN's to blame for this one. And they are. They absolutely are to blame. And so the actual game itself is much more better. It's not jank coded. It's not crappy AI. It's not, you know, full of glitches and bugs. It is a legitimate, actual AAA game that I think will actually rise Ubisoft back up into the limelight and may save the company, you know, from the disaster that was Skull and Bones, okay, guys? And, you know, anyway, that's all I got. Please leave a like to fight those haters, and on the right side of your screen, there is a video you should absolutely click, and if you do click it, you're going to get laid in the next 3 days, guaranteed.